nominations for the American Express Award for Best New Musical are...
Martin Guerre by Alain Boublil and Claude-Michel Schoenberg at the Prince Edward. 9 by Arthur Kopit at the Donmar Warehouse. Passion, music and lyrics by Stephen Sondheim at the Queen's.
Yes, that's Martin Guerre. Back home at last, those from the past better beware. He's seen it all. These knows my ways. And I was made for what I prayed for all those years. Say, by having the chartreuse in the smart to Martin Guerre, that a
One of the ironies of Martin Guerre is that when the first reviews came out before the rewrites, they were not really very good. And a lot of people said, not as good as Les Miserables. And I went back to those first reviews, nearly all of which had been hostile. People forget that Les Mis was not then the hit it became. The initial reaction to Boublil Schoenberg is very often in this country. They're very French. They deal with a kind of French history that is, to us, rather obscure. It's the Middle Ages, or with Victor Hugo, it's the 19th century. They have an ability, I believe, to draw out of the history of France through trumpets and drums and drama the greatest kind of musicals I have ever seen. I believe that they will live as the two men who alone really brought opera into the theatre.
The thing that makes Alain and Claude Michel very special is that they're basically musical dramatists. They never write a thing unless it's actually inspired by the story they're trying to tell. Claude Michel absolutely will not ever go to a bottom drawer and pull out a tune that he's either written before or discarded from another show. When he starts on a new project, he usually has a jolly good meal and lights up a big cigar, and then he lifts up the piano lid and thwacks it away. And that's how the show starts.
We were looking for a subject totally different from Miss Saigon, as different as Miss Saigon was from Les Miserables. We were looking to Middle Ages, or even before, in the year 1000. I don't know why, maybe because of the millennium. And we were looking that period of time, Middle Ages, before, because it's a land of freedom for writers. The story of Martin Guerre, the way it was, the confusion of identity between a man coming back and telling that he's somebody else, was not enough to justify why people are singing. We had to find something else.
When we had the characters who would give us our story its operatic structure, which we had added to the original story, still we were missing what usually makes the way we write musicals, Claude Michel and me, that kind of epic background to the story. Suddenly I realized that this was the exact time when the religious wars between Protestant and Catholics was happening, and suddenly Martin Guerre came to life. So from there we went to invent a village in which the characters could be deep and surprising enough in order to make us want to spend a long journey with them.
Don't look at them! Look away from them! Damn Protestants! Heretics! Damn heretics! They betrayed our Lord!
We don't want you here!
Get out of Ortigat!
This is our land!
It's always the same problem with the music, writing a musical. I have to tell a story. But our shows, it's not story of 3 days of revolution in France, or the Vietnam War, or the religious war in France. Our show is a story of very simple people, sometimes shattered by the background. Kim and Chris in Saigon are shattered by the Vietnam War, but it's still the story of simple people who are telling. So when I have to describe with the music one character, the music has to describe the inside, the soul of the character. And I'm trying to tell with the music what words and action can't tell you.
Sitzprobe is a very cute word, and we all enjoy saying it. We've only been using the word in musicals for a few years, although it's been a very common term in opera. It's a German word, and it means a sit-down rehearsal, which means that the cast comes and sits in chairs, and they sing through the opera. What it is the first time that the cast rehearses with the orchestra.
Hello. Are we going upstairs? Are we going upstairs?
Cast of Martin Guerre, meet the orchestra of Martin Guerre.
To what's always, without a doubt, the most unbearably exciting moment in any musical. We don't have every single part of the jigsaw in place. Rubbish is easy to write quickly, genius takes a little bit longer. And we certainly are in the presence of genius with Jonathan Tunick, who's been absolutely...
I'm Declan Donlan, and I'm the director.
Juliet Payton, the trombone.
John Stacey Swing.
Matt Rawle, Martin Guerre. Michael Matus, the idiot.
Jerome Braden Guillaume.
Cameron McIntosh, Scottish Maltese boss.
Over to the orchestra, please.
Peter Collier, viola.
Sue Briscoe, violin.
Gwendolen Petron, violin.
Dermot, fiddle.
Prologue begins with just some individual notes. They're unaccompanied. They're just plain notes. It's a tune you could whistle. And it's very unusual for a musical, especially a large-scale musical, to begin with just a little unaccompanied tune. We usually have to begin with some big, grandiose opening. The big cliche is the timpani roll. Martin Guerre is quite the opposite. It begins with a flute solo. This is unheard of. So if you looked at the piano score, you would see just